The Otranto Barrage was an Allied naval blockade of the Otranto Straits between Brindisi in Italy and Corfu on the Greek side of the Adriatic Sea in the First World War. The blockade was intended to prevent the Austro-Hungarian navy from escaping into the Mediterranean and threatening Allied operations there. The blockade, or rather the fleet capital ships in support of it, was effective in preventing surface ships from escaping the Adriatic, but it had little or no effect on the submarines based at Cattaro. Blockade attempt. The Adriatic is 72 kilometers wide at the Otranto Straits. The blockade consisted mainly of a fleet of drifters, most of them British, and usually armed with a 6-pounder gun and depth charges. In 1915, when the blockade was begun, 2 divisions of 20 would be on patrol at a time, equipped with steel indicator nets intended to trap submarines or at least alert the surface vessels to their presence. A 3rd division would be at Brindisi. The drifters were supported by destroyers and aircraft. However, the demands of the Gallipoli campaign and other naval operations left the Otranto Barrage with insufficient resources to deter the U-boats, and only the Austro-Hungarian U-6 was caught by the indicator nets during the course of the war. It was later considered that the straits had simply been too wide to be netted, mined or patrolled effectively. The ease with which German and Austrian submarines continued out of the Austro-Hungarian ports in spite of the barrage strongly embarrassed the Allies, the system being called a large sieve through which U-boats could pass with impunity. In 1917–1918, reinforcements from the Australian and American navies brought the blockading force up to 35 destroyers, 52 drifters and more than 100 other vessels. But submarines continued to slip through until the end of the war, while only the introduction of the convoy system and better coordination amongst the Allies helped to cut the losses they were causing. Raids and battles. The Austrians mounted a number of nighttime raids against the barrage, 5 in 1915, 9 in 1916 and 10 in 1917. After a raid by 4 Hussar-class destroyers in December 1916, a conference in London concluded that the drifters were insufficiently defended. The barrage was placed under the command of a single British officer, Commodore Algernon Heneage, who was able to call upon all Allied ships not in use elsewhere. The largest raid was on the night of 14–15 May 1917, where the cruisers SMS Novara, Helgoland, and Seda, supported by the destroyers SMS Csepel and Balaton, and Austro-Hungarian U-boats U-4 and U-27, along with German U-boat UC-25. The fleet, commanded by Commodore Miklos Horthy, sank 14 drifters out of 47 on duty, and damaged a further 3 seriously. Skipper Joseph Wadd was later awarded the Victoria Cross for defending his drifter gallantly under heavy attack from Novara. The British light cruisers HMS Dartmouth and Bristol, together with Italian and French destroyers, under command of Italian Rear Admiral Alfredo Acton, steamed from Brindisi to engage the Austrians, resulting in the Battle of the Otranto Straits. The British damaged Seda and disabled Novara, severely injuring Horthy. However, the British cruisers broke off the engagement when the Italian flag officer had notice of heavy Austrian forces coming out of Cattaro, and Seda towed Novara back to port. Dartmouth was damaged by UC-25 as it returned to Brindisi. The night before, the same U-boat had laid a minefield at the mouth of Brindisi harbour. The French destroyer Butefeu struck one of these mines exiting the harbour the very same day and exploded, sinking with all hands. In June 1918, Horthy, by now Commander-in-Chief of the Austro-Hungarian Navy, determined to launch an attack on the barrage employing the 4 Tegetthoff-class battleships based at Pola, the most modern in the fleet. While en route down the Adriatic, the battleship SMS Istvan was torpedoed and sunk by an Italian torpedo boat at dawn on 10 June, resulting in the attack being cancelled.